Hello, everybody. It's my 50th episode and my first my 1 year anniversary of the show. Such a great thing to celebrate. I know so much stuff to talk about today. However, I won't be talking that much about what's been going on because today I'm going to look at what's happened throughout this 1 year and these first 49 episodes. And of course, before we start, big news. We're going to have an MLB season. Oh my goodness. I've been waiting for that for a long time. The owners and players finally reached an agreement. It'll be a 60-game season starting in late July. Season ends on September 27th, which was when it was going to end had this pandemic never started. So it'll be a 60-game season. The Indians will be playing the Tigers, Royals, Twins, and White Sox 10 times. And then we'll play all NL Central teams 4 times, which include the Reds, Brewers, that team, the Cardinals, and Pirates. Of course, we don't talk about that team. I actually think we can have a winning record this year, playing teams like the Tigers and the Royals are definitely going to help us. Yeah, again, the NL Central is a very good division. You got guys like St. Louis and Milwaukee. Christian Yelich is definitely going to lead Milwaukee to a good season this year and possibly bring them their first pennant since 1982 and their first World Series appearance as a National League team. That's right, when they won the pennant in 1982, they were in the American League as rivals with the Cleveland Indians, not the National League Central where they are right now. Of course, that's what's been going on, folks, for the MLB. I'm very happy. I can't wait. Spring training will be starting around July 1st. That will be ready to go. I can't wait for it. It's going to be a good season despite 102 less games, but we will still have a baseball season, and that's all that matters. Of course, I won't be having to look to MVP baseball like what I've done or MLB The Show like what I've done throughout these first 3 months. I can finally watch baseball. It'll be in late July. Trade deadline August 31st. I'm excited. Hope you're excited. So now it's time for the big part of this show. Looking back at this last year. Of course, we're going to look at some of the previews because remember, I've had a lot of specials on my shows in which I preview a league or a sport. Of course, one of my favorite episodes last year was looking at the football preview. It was fun, and of course I can't show you it because I put it in a Google Doc rather than a Google slide. But here's what I said. I correctly had Wadsworth winning the National Conference. However, Brecksville and Hudson caught me on by surprise. I did not think they were going to have such great seasons like they did this year, and I thought it was something in my opinion. And Roosevelt also caught me by surprise. They did a good job last year too. Unfortunately, my predictions for Highland and Stowe were a little too high, but hey, Highland went 4-6, winning 4 out of their last 5 games. That was pretty impressive, especially with big wins over Copley and Talmadge at the end of the season. I had Aurora going 3rd in the American Conference with the Hornets and Barberton ahead. However, of course, Aurora went 10-0, winning it all in the Suburban League American Conference. And going pretty much towards the state semifinals, I believe. They were so close to their first state championship since 2008. Anyways, looking back at that season, it was a great season. I enjoyed it. Being a marching band Steel Pride of Highland, it was awesome watching, having fun, watching the games, pretending to announce it, being with my friend Joan, Free Willy in the student section. That's right, of course. My inside joke for the Miami Dolphins, of course, we'll see what they do now that AFC East is open, now that Tom Brady has gone south to Tampa. And, of course, we'll see. I'm still thinking it'll probably be Buffalo with that stingy defense they have and the future that Josh Allen has. But, anyways, what a great season that was, and I really hope that next year, if we have a season next year, will be just as fun. Of course, there was also the basketball predictions I had for Suburban League. And as you can tell, some were accurate, some weren't. I had Highland and Copley winning. on the American Conference. Highland ended up going 10-14, but you know what? They did win a playoff game, and they absolutely kicked tail against Akron North. That was a great game. And, of course, Copley, despite struggling at the beginning of the season, they caught on fire right towards the end and almost took the American Conference. They beat Revere at Revere, and Revere won the American Conference. I had Twinsburg winning the National Conference, even though it was North Royalton right there that ended up winning it. That was a great game, by the way. Or that was a great season, by the way. And, of course, I didn't really get to see that much action. It was kind of hard for me to follow those games because, of course, I'm the play-by-play announcer for Highland on Highland Sports Network, where a lot of these episodes go to. Of course, if you haven't subscribed there, please subscribe there because we talk Highland football there. I will not be announcing Highland football this year because, of course, marching band, but I will still recap the games, talk about them, and, of course, I film and announce the basketball and baseball games. So if you love Highland basketball and love Highland baseball, that YouTube channel is just for you. But anyways, Roosevelt also had a good season. And of course, there was the NFL season that happened too last year. And oh boy, it was something. Of course, as you can tell, there's something completely wrong with my predictions. I had way too high expectations for the Browns going 10-6, Baker winning MVP. And oh my goodness, you know what? Every time I talk about it, or you know what? The basketball coach for Highland and my A-push teacher always has to remind me that I had the Browns going 10-6 and Baker winning MVP. Such a big mistake I made. And Freddie winning Coach of the Year when he was an absolutely horrible coach. I think he was worse than Hugh Jackson, and that's really saying something because Hugh Jackson had no talent on that team. Freddie had all the talent in the world and blew it. A 6-10 record, the most disappointing I've ever felt as a Browns fan in my life, and that's saying something. The NFC is definitely a little odd, as you could tell, because Dallas, I had them winning the division. Same with the Bears and same with the Rams. San Francisco was in third place, and not to mention, so was Green Bay and so was Philly. I had it all mixed up. That was definitely something. I had the Chargers as a wild card. Of course, you know, the Chargers, the team with no fan base. And now that they'll move to SoFi Stadium, a bigger stadium, you'll see a lot more road fans making a good trip to beautiful, sunny SoCal to watch them hopefully beat the Chargers. AFC definitely looked good. Of course, I had Houston, Kansas City, New England. However, the Browns won the division to me. I still can't believe I had that. And the Ravens and Chargers. Anyways, the Super Bowl, I had New England being New Orleans. Not a bad one, but yet again, Tennessee with two major upsets in the postseason. One being New England, the other one being Baltimore. They couldn't get the job done against Kansas City. Kansas City came back from a 24-point deficit because Bill O'Brien is not a good coach, as we all know, and not a good GM, trading away DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson. Oh, man, oh, man. Before you know it, he's going to trade away Deshaun Watson for Jamal Adams, as everyone has been joking about. But anyways, that's what happened there. Of course, we need to look at some of my recaps when I was playing video games at my home and talking sports. Now, we'll review. There were 13 weeks I spent at home as this studio shut down and this virus was ravaging. It was 1/4 of the year at my home. I spent the first 3 episodes in my bedroom. Then I realized I could play games and talk sports at the same time. A win-win. And of course, these games ranged from the PS2 to my Nintendo Wii. Well, actually, it's my old brother's Nintendo Wii U, but the Wii is the greatest. I love the Wii. I love Nintendo. I wish I had a Switch. I use my phone, and I sandwiched it, or phone as my camera. I sandwiched it in between 2 books to hold it upright to film. And of course, these episodes were both on YouTube and the Highland Hornets Sports Network. Well, actually WCTV and the Highland Hornets Sports Network, because Highland Sports Network is on YouTube. But anyways, I was playing a lot of NHL games because NHL games go very quickly compared to other games like MVP and Madden and NBA Live. Even though those games go fast, NHL games go way faster. I was playing NHL 2002 and NHL 2005. Now, if you remember, NHL 2002, I had as number 10 on my top 10 PlayStation 2 sports games, and NHL 2005 was nowhere on the list, not even on the honorable mentions. However, we'll look at some of these games. One thing that the first game I did was NHL 2002. There I am right there. It was New York against Pittsburgh. It was a really great game, and in it, Alexei Kovalev scored a hat trick. Look at me celebrate right there in a 5-3 victory. You gotta love how you can celebrate in that game. Look at that game story. Great hat trick for Kovalev. He's been doing a good job for me in that franchise mode. A 5-3 victory is what it was. Then Pittsburgh defeated New Jersey 7-3, and Mario Lemieux was the first star of that game. And then I switched over to NHL 2005, where I beat Buffalo 6-3. And then in NHL 2005, my franchise, for that game, I was playing Vancouver. Now, in case you don't know, Vancouver in NHL 2005, in my 2005 franchise at least, is a Stanley Cup worthy team. So it was a close game for the most part. I was down 1-0, and then this happened in which I tied it up midway through the third period. And look at that. I don't know if you can see right there, but yes, it came midway through the third. I got the puck, shot it, and it went in. Deflected off the goalie, and then trickled right past him in the net. Tied it up. Matthew Barnaby is who it was. I got him in a trade. Unfortunately, Vancouver scored within the last 2 minutes and lost a close one, 2-1. But don't worry, the Penguins franchise is doing mighty fine out there. And now time for Wii games, or as I like to call it, the Wii Caps. Don't worry, the puns will end. But anyways, the first Wii game I did was, of course, one of the greatest baseball games of all time, Mario Super Sluggers. And it was a good game as Yoshi right there was playing for the Luigi Knights against the Waluigi Spitballs. And Yoshi took a hanging curve from Waluigi to deep center field, gone off Wario's top hat for a 2-run bomb. There I am once the screen turns dark and you can see me right there. It was great. It was a 2-run bomb. Then later on in the fourth inning, Pianta came to bat. And here's what happened. Waluigi used his power up right here, and Pianta swings and misses. But then another hanging curve that Pianta took deep into right field. No way you're going to rob that. They were up 4-1. Waluigi did have a comeback in the fifth inning, cutting the lead to 4-3. But the final out was just a measly fly ball out to right that Toad caught, giving Luigi a 4-3 victory, and definitely a great game. They played another great baseball video game, another one that I can consider to be one of the greatest baseball games of all time, Nicktoons MLB. What's there not to love about Nicktoons, or at least Nicktoons back then, back in its golden age of the 90s and early 2000s? Of course, the MLB All-Stars unfortunately beat everything that was left in those poor Nicktoons. Stimpy was on the mound, and Stimpy got leveled out there. There's Ren out at center field, of course. Ren and Stimpy, a great cartoon, known for its crazy animations in which the characters seem to get bigger whenever louder. Kind of like what SpongeBob's been doing over the last few years. Of course, I really love SpongeBob. Who doesn't is a better question. Unfortunately for SpongeBob and Co., they lost 9-2 as the MLB All-Stars really beat the Nicktoons. That really goes to answer a question that probably only I had in my head. Who's better, cartoons or baseball players? Well, playing baseball, and of course, baseball players are unfortunately better. I was rooting for the Nicktoons, because come on, who else loves those Nicktoons? They're so lovable. Anyways, that was Play Man 13. on the Nintendo Wii, in which I was playing 5-on-5 football. Browns against the Steelers. Browns won, of course. They won 5-0, or 5-0 compared to the Steelers. And they did some scenario modes in minicamp, because unlike in Iron Man, which doesn't even care about minicamp, doesn't even have minicamp anymore, Man 13 does have minicamp, and it's pretty fun. And that was playing the greatest racing game of all time. I'm very sorry, NASCAR Thunder 2004. You're a great game, but Mario Kart Wii is better. And I was racing as Funky Kong on the Flame Runner, because Funky on the Flame Runner is the greatest combo in the history of Mario Kart. And he led the red team to a victory over the blue team, 147-145 in a 4-race series in Mario Kart Wii, including races at Peach Gardens and Moonview Highway. I believe I was at Coconut Mall too. And then I was playing Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. Such a great game. And of course, this was the highlight right here. I was swimming with Daisy in the 100-meter freestyle. Now, in case you don't know, Mario and Sonic at London 2012, in fact, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series isn't really that deep in franchise, or not deep in franchise, but that deep. But anyways, the one thing is that it's really a mini game based thing. Of course, you have all these games you can play, all these Olympic events, but this was a big highlight. Look at that. I tied the record, 46.197, and Sonic, who ironically can't swim, also had a 46.197. Definitely the highlight of that video. It was pretty incredible to think that. Of course, that was a lot of fun. If you haven't played Mario and Sonic at London 2012, you really should. Also, Yoshi won some dream fencing. And Waluigi won the dream hurdles. Of course, I can't do Waluigi, but Waluigi is awesome. Think we can all agree on that. And now, time for some of my favorite stuff of the past year. Some topics I've enjoyed covering are Cleveland sports, of course. The Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Browns, and Cleveland Cavaliers, as you can tell on your screen. High school sports like high school football and high school basketball. And I probably would have covered high school baseball if this virus wasn't a thing. And I also covered the NFL playoffs and MLB playoffs. That was definitely a blast. There was the NBA, NFL, and MLB seasons, of course. And spring training for the Indians, of course. Then came the virus. But don't worry, I'll cover spring training once again in July and the MLB season, which I'm so excited for. And a lot of the great stuff, of course. Some favorite specials I had. My third episode, in which I talked about the MLB All-Star Game and how my family and I were at Play Ball Park. And how great that was and how much fun it was. Yep, the 2019 All-Star Game was a blast and all that great stuff. Of course, in case you don't know, that was all I talked about in episode 3. About the All-Star Game and how great it was. Other things I enjoyed was that 52-minute one-take special of The Curse of Jim Brown, which, in case you don't know, takes a really good look at the Cleveland Browns after Jim Brown retired and how the Browns' best player of all time may have cursed us. Excuse me for that, but he may have. In case you don't know, watch that video. Very informative. Talk a lot about these players, talk a lot about these owners, talk a lot about everyone. It was fun to do. I was looking forward to doing it for a long time. It was something that was in the back of my head for a while, and I finally did it. Of course, it was a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoyed it. There was a Super Bowl 54 preview in episode 27, and then episode 28, I talked about the Super Bowl and had that very touching tribute to Mr. Peanut who died. Of course, I had a picture of Mr. Peanut on my phone in case if you don't remember, and how he sadly died. And then episodes 34 to 46, of course, I was at my home and stuff. I talked about that a few minutes ago. And then episode 47 was the top 10 PlayStation 2 sports games, in which I talked about my favorite PlayStation 2 sports games and how great they are and how well they have aged and how you should play them, how you should buy a PS2, or if you have a PS2, still play and buy these games. They're not really that expensive. In fact, not expensive at all compared to Madden and 2K and all those evil and greedy microtransactions they have nowadays. But yeah, don't worry, those games don't have microtransactions, and they are way above average games. So, of course, what's next for the show? Of course, 50 episodes down, 50 more to go for 100. That means I'm halfway there. And, of course, I'm only 5% of the way to episode number 1,000. And getting that picture of me like everyone else has for episode number 1,000 at WCTV right there. And, of course, I'm going to be talking about the NBA coming back and the MLB coming back and how exciting that's going to be. And, of course, don't worry, folks. I'm still going to be talking about NASCAR. And in the meantime, I will be trying to talk about the KBO and the NPB and how the NPB in Japan has been starting up and the KBO season's up and running. And NASCAR had a good race in which Ryan Blaney won, I believe, in a last-second ending. Only at Talladega does that happen. That was a blast to watch. And hopefully, once again, hopefully we will have a high school football season. Once again, I'm still really nervous and doubtful about it. But maybe, just maybe, we'll have a season. And maybe, just maybe, we'll have an NFL season as well. And I can talk about both of them. And hopefully by September, everything will be fine to the point which it will be just like what I did last September, in which I was talking about high school football, then the Cleveland Indians, then the Cleveland Browns. Of course, that's some of my favorite times of the year because sports are really going and all excitement right there. And of course, I love high school football. Hopefully there will be a season, and I really hope so. But anyways, folks, that's all I have for this episode. Thank you all so much for 50 episodes and one whole year of a great show. Hopefully I can continue this, and I really look forward to seeing you in episode number 51. So until then, have fun and see you then.